ule mwenye amesikiza ameelewa hizo stages, bado hajui organic manure inakujia wapi, also animal feed inakujia wapi. So, take us through that.
So for the animal feed, on the larval stage, we get the animal feed from the third instar stage of the larvae. So how do you get them? As I said, you just put a bait. A bait is maybe you have a carcass, but for our case, because we are in a lab setting, we just put a substrate. A substrate is just a mixture of wheat bran and mincemeat. So after putting the bait, the female flies will smell the scent of the bait. They'll come deposit their eggs on the bait while eating the bait. After that, you'll just have your eggs. Your eggs will be collected. Then you put on another bigger substrate. A bigger substrate means you just place a container full of wheat bran and mincemeat in a ratio of 1:1. After that, the maggots will start to appear. Then they will develop into the second instar stage, which we call the second larval stage. Then after that, there will be the third instar stage. This third instar stage, these are the bigger maggots. The normal, us as locals, we call them maggots, but basically in scientific term is larvae. This bigger third instar stage, these are larvae that can be used as animal feed. So such kind of larvae, you can either feed them directly to our animals or you do a processing, either drying them or maybe boiling them, then they'll become animal feed.
Right. And the capacity, given that we have a lot of animal farmers in the country, unaweza toa kiwango inatoshana aje ndo iweze kufeed wanyama wengi ambao tuko nao?
So for a fly, basically a fly hatches at a minimum of 150 per every hatch. Minimum of 150 eggs, every fly. So given an example of this cage holds about 1,500 flies at a go before anything happens. These 1,500 flies, maybe half of them are female, half of them are male. So do your mathematics, that is around 750 of the flies. So each fly giving you 150 at a minimum. How much of the larva will you get after that? So basically we are talking about the fly giving us so many eggs, which will eventually turn into so many larvae. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's fed to the animal when it's at the third stage.
At the third stage.
And when we are talking about now manure for the farm, what stage is that?
Manure at the farm, we normally introduce the first instar stage that we call maggots to the any kind of organic material that we have. So maybe you have a very big kitchen waste.
Right.
Yeah. We just introduce the first instar stage of the fly. Then they will start to eat up the waste. And in doing so, they are also excreting.
Right.
This excretion is a good organic material.
Right.
Which we call it manure or organic manure, where we can for a normal person, you can take it if you have a big farm. Depending on the number of larvae that you have, you'll have a very good organic manure for that purpose.
Great. Yeah. So if I'm purposing or making organic manure, I'll use the first instar stage. Yeah. In case mkulima afanya makosa, atumie kama I introduce the second instar stage, hiyo ndo apeleke kwa organic waste yake, will that be a problem?
Yes, there is a problem because the first instar stage of the larvae, these are the most active when they are feeding.
Okay.
So when they are feeding, they are also producing a lot.
Right.
But for the second and the third, these are they are going to the dormant stage of the fly. So they are not so much active like the first instar stage.
Right. Yeah. Given the technicality that is involved, you are a scientist, it's very easy for you to explain first instar stage, second. Mkulima wa kawaida, is this something they can do for themselves?
Okay. For the mkulima wa kawaida, you can just follow the life cycle of the fly. There's no harm in doing following. Maybe you as a general mkulima outside there, put the larva, whichever the stage, they'll give you the product that you want, but depending on now the quality or the quantity, now that's a major factor that you must consider.
Right. Yeah. So it's also important, depending on what you want to do, you can invite an expert to guide you after that.
Yes.
Good. So when it comes to the animal feed, are we seeing a lot more people now embracing this, system of keeping insects as a way of providing animal feeds to animals?
In our Kenyan system, I think we are coping, or we are catching up. When we do a comparison with the European nations or the West African countries, we are talking about Ivory Coast and so on, Nigeria, I think Kenya is catching up. Farmers are embracing this kind of method of feeding our animals with the animal proteins. Yeah.
What has been the reason as to why, if you compare us to other African countries, ni kama Kenya we are catching up pole pole, ni nini imekuwa hapo katikati yenye inafanya we don't do this as other countries are?
I think the first thing that has been of hindrance to us as Kenyans, I think is just in our DNA, or we as a human, or we as human, we take flies as something that is not of importance to us. Yeah, if you find a fly hovering around, you either take a broom and hit it, or you take anything just to chase it away.
Right.
But as time has gone, we have tried to teach our people that everything in the environment is important. Such kind of flies are important. Flies, of course, they cause diseases, but in other chances, they also have a positive impact to our living.
Right.
In a case of now production of larvae.
So when you are in your house and you see a fly, what do you do? Given the attachment you have with them from this job.
As a normal person, of course, I will chase it away. Yes. But me as a scientist, I know there is some importance from that kind of a fly.
Right. Now, as I look around, we have parts. I don't know if it's okay for me to call some sort of improvisation.
Yeah.
Naona kuna hii tumefunika. I want you hapa tumefunga. So just let's look at one of this, and then you talk to me about the different parts and what the roles of the improvisation is.
So in our insectary, we have different kinds of cages that we have. The normal cages that we are talking, we have such kind of cages. This holds about 1,500 flies at a go. These ones are easier to maintain, unlike this other part. These ones you see they are sealed. These are permanent. So when we are talking about maintenance, we are talking about now the cleaning part of it. When we want to clean such a kind of a cage, it takes a while, unlike this. These ones, they have parts that you can remove. These are plastic that you just remove. Then the nets will be washed manually. But
so how do you clean without them escaping?
Of
These
course,
are flies.
Well, you don't clean a cage that has so many flies. The cage are cleaned once the flies are depreciated in number.
Okay.
Yeah. The purpose of it is just to reduce the amount of escapees outside here. So these cages are here to just maintain these flies for a while, not for more than 3 months, at a maximum of 2 months. Yeah. Then after that, we'll have a new batch of colony. Then we replenish. Then we start again. Right.
Yeah. So before you introduce a new colony, una clean kwanza.
Yes. For every take an example. This is the oldest cage. This is the oldest cage, but it still has flies. So you won't come start cleaning the cage. You first let them depreciate in number or finish up. That's either they will die by themselves, or they will just suffocate or lose energy to continue surviving. So after that, you will just find them, all of them, they are down in the cage.
Wamekufa.
Wamekufa.
So when they die, how do you deal with that?
When they are dead, you just, for any biological material that you are handling, you put them in a kind of gloves, yeah, or you suffocate them, or you either freeze them, or the best method is just to incinerate them, so that there is no any microorganism cropping up from the dead flies.
All right.
So after your cage is now empty, you just come remove the nettings. Then the nettings will be washed manually with a normal detergent, but don't use a strong detergent because flies are very sensitive to scent. So the next time maybe you didn't wash your nettings very well, then the scent is still there. The flies, either one case they will die, or they will start to hover around like they are kind of stressed up.
Right.
Yeah,
So for that person who now wants to start this practice, anataka kuweka animal feeds, anataka kupata hiyo manure, umemwambia that flies are very sensitive to strong scent. What other factors could hinder the great performance of these flies besides the strong scent?
The strong, apart from the scent, we are talking about the feeding regime of the flies also. We are talking about giving them food. Fly are very, they get hungry very fast. Yeah, when this kind of flies get hungry and if they don't have food, they will eventually collapse. And for you as a farmer, when you find your flies have collapsed, you will have gone at a loss.
Right.
Yeah. So be very careful on the mode of feeding. And in feeding, we are talking about giving them sugary things and water. Yeah.
Huko umetuambia hapo kwa maji. Sasa hapa maji utaweka wapi?
For these cages, they are modified in a sense that we have pipes going inside, but the pipes have holes that we place a sponge or spontex. So inside there you can see we have sponge.
Oh, hii inatokea hapa.
Yes.
Oh, so this is a sponge.
That's a sponge. The sponge is there for the flies to sip water through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ungeweka tu maji hapo kwa pipe ama kwa tu vikombe then.
That one, you either you will get your flies, they are dead or they are drowned.
Oh, they can also drown.
Yes,
There's
yes.
that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sponge ndo wanavurutia maji
Yes,
from there. All right. Is there any hiyo maji which temperature it's at?
The normal tap water is enough for any kind of fly. Just make sure that you are using clean tap water.
Right.
That's okay.
Right. So you feed them and also you give them water.
Yes.
Na wanasikia njaa haraka sana.
Wanasikia njaa haraka sana.
All right.
If they don't have anything, they'll collapse.
Great. So at what point do you collect, the eggs?
For you as a farmer outside there, when the flies have, after hatching from the pupa, the flies have stayed more than 2 weeks, those are adult flies. So these adult flies, they can give you eggs at any kind of moment you want. Like maybe as at now, you just come with a bait that's a mixture of mincemeat or whichever carcass that you have, you place them inside. But now there's a challenge. When placing the bait, make sure the bait has an opaque item. We are talking about like a tin. The reason is flies normally hatch eggs during night time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sai siwezi mpata akihatch.
So when in an insectary like this, we always put opaque materials inside so that they mimic
Wadhania ni usiku.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So unaiweka usiku for ule.
For a farmer, utaweka usiku because, but not necessarily usiku. Even if you put the material, the opaque material, they will also hatch because during daytime is the best time to do the collection of eggs.
Right.
Because at night, I think it's the time for sleeping.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you collect the eggs.
Then you collect the eggs from the bait. Then when you want now to produce your larvae or the maggots for the animal feed, now because the bait is small, put the eggs on a bigger substrate.
Right.
Or a
bigger bait. Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So now, do you offer trainings to farmers ambao wanataka kuanza kujitengenezea animal feeds? We do have a lot of livestock farmers and most of them utapata wanaachana na wanyama because cost of feeds is very expensive. Na hii ni kitu ambayo, to be very honest, you need some level of training. Yeah. Is that offered to farmers?
Yes. We as Calro, we do have trainings, but of course there must be channels to be followed. when you follow the right channel, you come to an institute like ours. You must have a channel to follow. But we do trainings. If you are a farmer group, there are trainings, and because we are doing exhibitions, we as Calro, we normally hold yearly exhibitions from every center or institute.
Right.
So such kind of sessions or events make us to exhibit such kind of insect farming.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we wind up this session, I want us to go to the other side where there is also medical, use of these flies. Ule mwenye anaanza, unajua nyinyi mlipata koloni yenu kutoka uko nje, another normal farmer is wondering, mimi hizo connections sina. Can they get them from locally? Can they just go and collect, flies from within, and then they put up the structure and they're good to go?
So for any other farmer outside there, they can use the normal flies, of course. Not necessarily they are supposed to be, for the feed purpose of it, any kind of fly can give you.
Even the house fly?
Even the house flies can give you the larva. But now, because these are somehow related to the medical part of it, that's why you're
using these ones in particular. Right. So even the house fly will still give me that 60% protein. That's why I gave you a range of 45 to 60. All right. Yeah. So speak to that farmer as we wind up this conversation. Mwenye anaona inzi sahi mali yuko na naifanyia. And mwambie the importance of keeping this fly in the future of feeding their livestock.
Yeah, basically I'm talking to everyone outside here. We are talking about insect farming for the purposes of production of larvae or maggots that are basically used as animal feed and eventually give us organic manure that we can use in our farms outside here. So for any kind of fly that you encounter, of course these are scavengers in nature. So you will find them anywhere or every part of our environment. So don't look it as a negative part of it, look it in a positive way, so that we as farmers, we are pressed. Like most of us, we don't have the capacity to buy feeds from the non-suppliers. So you can make your own feed, you can make your own manure, that is organic manure from home, using different kinds of flies that we have. But for our case, we have the Lucilla circata or the green butterfly. So if you need any assistance or you need any training, through our director, that is the institute director, you'll get to have so much from our technology, that is the insect farming technology.
Right. All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. Now you're understanding that butchery, it's more than just that. It does have a lot of benefits for us as farmers. And right here at Kenya's Gold, we're making sure that we plug you to all the opportunities, cost-effective opportunities that can help you do well as a farmer. So we do want to move to the other side. We learned that this fly, which we are calling a green butterfly, also has some medicinal uses. What are those uses? You get to find out with us very shortly. Come, let's go.